All right, we're continuing now in Aqidat Awaamm, the Layman's Creed by Imam al-Marzuqi, the Maliki. And we are just at the end of the poem. Let's see if we're going to finish it tonight. And he put as the last section in his poem before the conclusion, they talk about the Prophet's night journey and his ascension into the sky. And so he says, and Yani, I still have some editing and stuff to do here, so you're going to be patient with me, inshallah. He says, وَقَبْلَ هِجْرَةِ النَّبِيِّ الْإِسْرَى مِنْ مَكَّةَ لَيْلًا لِقُدْسٍ يُدْرَى وقبل هجرة النبي الإسرى من مكة ليلا لقدس يدرى. Before the Prophet's migration was the night trip, yani the night journey. I like to put the word journey there, but then it doesn't all fit on one line. So I put the word trip there. Before the Prophet's migration was the night trip, the Isra, al-Isra. Min Mecca, from Mecca. Laylan, one night. The Quds, to Jerusalem. Yudra. From Mecca to Jerusalem in a single night. Actually, in less than a night. From Mecca to Jerusalem, at that time, that was a month's trip, one way. A month's trip, one way. He went from Mecca to Jerusalem in less than a night. How did he do that? He did that when the angel Gabriel came to him, alayhi salatu wassalam, with a beast from paradise. Some creature from paradise, it's called al-buraq. It's a white creature. It is taller than a donkey and shorter than a mule. And it can put its foot wherever it sees, wherever its vision falls. Wherever it looks, it can put its foot there. So this enables it to move very fast, to cover far distance in short time. So the Prophet ﷺ, he rode with the angel on this animal. And they made stops on that night. The angel took him to different places, and the Prophet witnessed different things. And also the angel told him different things. For example, the angel took him to a spot and told him to get down and pray. He got down and prayed. He smelled a very nice fragrance there. He asked the angel, what was that place? The angel told him, that is the grave of the comber of the Pharaoh's daughter's hair. The grave of the Pharaoh's daughter's hair comber. Her and her children, that's their grave. The Pharaoh killed them. He threw them in a pot of boiling oil and water when they refused to leave their religion. Because the Pharaoh used to make people worship him. He was a merciless tyrant. When they refused to leave Islam, he killed them. But right before he threw her into the pot, she made a request of him. She said, I have a request of you. He said, what is it? She said, gather our bones, bury us together. He said, you have it. And then he threw her into the pot with all her children. He threw her children in one by one first. And he left the nursing baby last. And then he was going to take the baby and throw the baby in. And right before she lost her nerve, Allah made the baby speak. The baby said, oh mother, stay firm. You are indeed upon the truth. Certainly, the torture of the afterlife is greater than the torture of the earthly life. So when she saw that, then she stayed firm. And she made her request of the Pharaoh, and he gave her a request, and he threw them all into the pot. And he already threw her other children in. And he threw her and the last baby into the pot. They all died an excruciating death, and he buried their bones together. And that was that. And then centuries later, many centuries later, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took this trip with the angel. And he got down and he smelled that fragrance at that spot, and he asked the angel, "What is this place?" The angel told him, "This is the grave site of the hair comber of the Pharaoh's daughter and her children." And also, he saw other things on that night. Amongst the things he saw on that night is that Allah created for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the image of a hideous hag. A hideous hag. It means old lady who's very ugly, but she has decoration. Like I don't know what's her, she has jewels, I don't know. Like, just imagine if she has fur coat and everything. Not saying she has fur coat though. She's very hideous, but she has decoration on the outside. So what's this? The angel explained to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is the world. This is the embodiment of the world itself. Means what? From the outside, it's pretty. You see nice flowers and butterflies and all of that, trees, and the birds are chirping and the squirrels are playing. And there's sunshine and clouds, and you can do all sorts of nice things. You can have a picnic, and you can do all kinds of things. That's what the world looked like from the outside, but really very bad place. This dunya, this world's not a good place. Does not have a high status. The life is the life of the afterlife, if you make it to paradise. If you don't make it to paradise, then the extent of your enjoyment is the enjoyment of this life. And the enjoyment of this life is very little, very little. The enjoyment of this life is temporary and low quality too. And everything in this world that you like, there's something about it that you don't like too. Even the very thing you do like, there's something about it you don't like. That's how this world is. And worse than that. Not just what I said, and worse than that by a lot also. What is blessed in this world is a scholar and a learner. A scholar and a learner. And of religious knowledge, that is. But what else did the Prophet see on that night, alayhi salatu wasalam? Out of many things, if I say a lot here, then I won't get far in the poem. But I want to mention for you a few things, like amongst the things that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encountered on that night was that the angel took him to the place of Gog and Magog. You know Gog and Magog. Those are the people who are trapped behind the wall that was erected by Dhul Qarnayn. Those people, one of them won't die until he has 1,000 sons. So that means their population is huge. And what's their case? One day they're going to get out of that wall, they're going to breach that wall. And when they come out of there, they will kill everything in their path. Those Gog and Magog people are invincible. That's going to be, though, after Jesus already came back. The people of Gog and Magog will not breach the wall before Jesus comes back. So, what's the first major sign that Judgment Day is near? That the imposter will come out, the one that Christians call Antichrist. Then the second major sign that Judgment Day is near is that Jesus himself will return. He will descend from the sky. And he will slay this imposter. And the third major sign that Judgment Day is near is that the people of Gog and Magog will breach this wall. And that's whole story that now I'm not going to go into. But the Prophet went to those people and he delivered the message to them. His delivering the message to them made them accountable. Because in order to be accountable in the hereafter, the message of a prophet must reach you. If the message of a prophet did not reach you, you will not be accountable in the afterlife. So God made them accountable by making the angel take the prophet to them. So he delivered the message to them. And those people, they spread that amongst themselves until now. They always talk about the night when a man came to them. One night when a man appeared to them and said such and such to them. Because this is a very strange thing for them. If you look from their perspective, they were behind that wall for many, many, many centuries. Stuck there. They can't get out. They're always trying to breach it. You know the story. We'll come back to it another time. Why they can't breach the wall? Now I'm not going to talk about it. But they can't. So one night, of all the nights, after centuries and centuries and centuries, a man appears to them and says something to them. That was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also, the Prophet saw many other things on that night, as the angel was taking him from place to place while they rode this beast. And among the things that the Prophet saw was that he passed by the devil. He and the angel, while they were riding, they actually passed by the devil. They passed by him. He was on the side of the road. He wouldn't dare go near them. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. So, وَقَبْلَ هِجْرَةِ النَّبِيِّ الْإِسْرَى. Before the Prophet's migration was the night journey. His migration, that means, as you know, his moving from Mecca to Medina. First, the Muslims were in Mecca. That's where the Prophet was born. That's where he first received the revelation. That's where he first started calling people to Islam. That's when he first started calling the idol worshippers to leave out their idolatry and to worship one God, like all of the prophets. That's what all the prophets do, because he was a prophet. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Muslims had hard time in Mecca for all the time they were there. And they didn't have many converts because the society was very tough against them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stayed in Mecca for 13 years. Before he moved from Mecca to Medina, this is when the night journey happened. It was said 2 years before he moved, and other things were said. There's different sayings about how long before the migration from Mecca to Medina. Then, they went to Medina afterwards, sometime after that. Because, why? Because some people came from Medina to Mecca. They met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They believed in him. They went back to their people and talked to them. Their people became Muslims. Then they came back with more people. They talked to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then they went back. They talked to their people. More people became Muslim. They came back with more people. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sent 2 of his companions to their city for them. And those 2 companions did a big job in spreading Islam there, to the extent that there was a Muslim, at least one Muslim in every house there. And that has its own story too. So, وَقَبْلَ هِجْرَةِ النَّبِيِّ الْإِسْرَى. And before the Prophet's migration was the night trip. In Mekkatin laylan liqudsin. From Mecca one night to Jerusalem. Yudra. It is known. The night journey is known, means it's confirmed. It's confirmed in the Quran. And it's confirmed in the hadiths of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the Quran, Allah says, سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى. Glory be to he who made his slave Muhammad take a night journey one night from the sacred masjid in Mecca to Al-Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. That Masjid al-Aqsa was there at the time of Prophet Muhammad. It was built by Adam originally, and it was renovated by Solomon, and it was still standing by the time Prophet Muhammad came. From Mecca to Jerusalem, but that's not just straight trip there. The Prophet stopped at different stops there. And I didn't say everything. Yudra. So from Mecca to Jerusalem, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi layla. Far from imperfection is he who made his slave man take a trip, take a journey at night, one night, from the sacred masjid to al-Masjid al-Aqsa, alladhi barakna hawlah. That Masjid al-Aqsa whose surroundings are blessed, because that's the land of the prophets, Jerusalem and Palestine, where so many prophets were and where their battles were. الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا. We made him take that night journey. We means God alone. We made him take that night journey so to show him our amazing signs. Like some of the things, yani, the things I described to you. Allah made the Prophet see many amazing things on that night. And not just that, but also once he got to Jerusalem, then, like the author says right here, وَبَعْدَ إِسْرَاءٍ عُرُوجٌ لِلسَّمَاءِ حتى رأى النبي ربا كلما. And after the trip, the night trip, was an ascension into the sky. Hold on. وبعد إسراء وبعد إسراء عروج للسماء حتى رأى النبي ربا كلما. And after the trip, after the night journey, was an ascension into the sky. The Prophet even saw God who spoke. Meaning he saw the one who's not a shape or a color. He saw the one who doesn't have shape or form or color. But I'll come back to that. So, وَبَعْدَ إِسْرَاء. So after the night trip, meaning after he arrived at his destination in Jerusalem, and there he encountered prophets, all of them, Allah made them come out of their graves. And as for Jesus, who never died, he made him come down from the sky. And they all prayed with Prophet Muhammad leading them in prayer. Sallallahu alayhi wa alayhim wa sallam. Then after that, urujun lissama, was an ascension into the sky. Urujun, an ascension. Yani, which we call usually al-mi'raj. Al-mi'raj was an uruj, an ascension, lissama, into the sky. And here, this word as-sama, there's no hamza here. Originally, the word is as-sama. It would be li-sama'i. But for the sake of the poetry, the poet, yani to keep the beat, the poet was able to remove that last hamza. So it came out as li-sama. And the Prophet's ascension into the sky is not unique to him. Like we just said, Jesus was raised up to the sky. And also, who's another prophet who was raised to the sky?
Idris, Nabiullah Idris.
Idris, barakallahu fikum. MashaAllah. Not to mention, yani, the prophets on this very night who were raised up to the sky. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam interacted with them there. So, وَبَعْدَ إِسْرَاءٍ عُرُوجٌ لِلسَّمَاءِ. And after the trip, yeah, really it's indefinite though, after a night trip, after a, will the word journey fit here? Journey was an ascension into the sky. After a journey, so because it says urujun, so if I just translate it literally, I'm going to say a journey, and that's what I prefer to do now. But yeah, if the sheikhs will change it, they will change it. And after a journey was an ascension into the sky. حتى رأى النبي ربا كلما. So, and you know, that ascension into the sky was the Prophet going through the seven heavens. He left the earth to go into the sky by using a staircase, which has golden and silver steps alternating. And this staircase is always there, but the people don't see it. So he went up through the heavens. He went to all the seven heavens, and he went above the seventh heaven, and he actually entered into paradise. حتى رأى النبي ربا كلما. The Prophet even saw God who spoke. So in this second half of the line, the author, rahimahullah, he confirms both the speech of God, that God speaks, and seeing God. He confirmed God's speech and seeing God. When he says, حَتَّى رَأَى النَّبِيُّ رَبًّا كَلَّمًا, the Prophet even saw God who spoke. Now, if I want to be literal also, I could say a Lord. Rabban, it's indefinite. A Lord who spoke. So, yani, I like to put some of those things like that sometimes so that you can see what's there. So I could say, he saw God who spoke, or the Lord who spoke. It's not big deal, the difference there, but I tell you, wallahi, if it were me, that's what I would like for myself. So that's why I do those things. I remember many times learning, like when I started learning Arabic in particular too, so I started to understand a little bit more. So I would ask so I can try to get closer. What does this mean more exactly? They don't want to give it to me. For one reason or another. I'm not complaining, I'm just telling you. Someone I'm asking, what does it mean? They don't want to tell me how literal it is. I want to understand exactly. So that's why I did it. But we can change it if it needs to be changed. This is how it is. This is how it would come out literally. وَبَعْدَ إِسْرَاءٍ, and after a journey, عُرُوجٌ was an ascension, لِلسَّمَا, into the sky, حَتَّى رَأَى النَّبِيُّ, the Prophet even saw Rabban, a Lord, كَلَّمَا, who spoke. But here, this one doesn't sit well with me. That's why I put God. He even saw God who spoke. And when he says here he saw God who spoke, meaning who spoke to him, Muhammad saw God with his heart, of course. You know, he saw God with his heart, not with his eyes. Allah gave his heart the power of sight, so he saw God with his heart, not with his eyes. He saw God who kallama, who spoke to Muhammad. So it means Muhammad heard God's speech. He saw God's being with his heart, and he heard God's speech. This is correct. The author is correct here. He saw God. Now, the author didn't say with his heart, with his eyes, or what. Well, he didn't say he didn't see God. That statement, yeah, no need to say it. No need to say he didn't see God like some people, like it's narrated from some people like Aisha. This statement, you don't have to say it. So he did see God. رَأَى النَّبِيُّ رَبَّهُ. He saw God. Here the author didn't say by his heart, by his eyes, or what. So what's correct is he saw him by his heart, not in his heart, by his heart, or with his heart. Meaning that Allah gave his heart the power of sight. And no one will see God with his eyes in this lifetime. Not even the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And anyone who claims that he saw God, other than Muhammad, any person other than Muhammad who claims that he saw God, he blasphemed. Because even Moses didn't see God and he asked for it. قَالَ رَبِّ أَرِنِي أَنظُرْ إِلَيْكَ. Moses said, "Oh my Lord." Moses said, "Oh my Lord, show me yourself so that I may see you." قَالَ لَن تَرَانِي. God told him, "You will not see me in this life." So Muhammad saw his Lord with his, or by his heart, and his Lord spoke to him. So he heard the eternal speech of God, that speech which is not letters, it's not sounds, not languages. من غير كيف وانحصار وافترض عليه خمسا بعد خمسين فرض. من غير كيف وانحصار وافترض عليه عليه خمسا عليه خمسا بعد خمسين فرض. Without a how or limitation, he saw God. Yani, without a how did he see him, without a limitation did he see him, and without a how he heard God's speech, and without limitation for God's speech he heard. God's self has no how and no limitation, and it is seen without a how or a limitation. And God's speech has no how and no limitation, and it can be heard without a how and without a limitation. من غير كيف وانحصار, without a how nor limitation. وافترض عليه خمسا بعد خمسين فرض, and he mandated, وافترض عليه, and he mandated on him, خمسا, five. It doesn't say five what? You know five what? Five prayers. Now, okay, if I put the word prayers there, that's clear. What if I took the word prayers out though? Will you become confused? Will you scratch your head? Maybe. May Allah bless the Muslims. I mean, وَافْتَرَضْ عَلَيْهِ خَمْسًا, he mandated on him five. بَعْدَ خَمْسِينَ فَرَضْ, after 50 he obligated. Yani, yeah, after 50 he obligated. Yani, after he obligated 50. So if I took he obligated and put it in the front, then it's very clear for you. After he obligated 50, you know, Allah first revealed to the Prophet 50 prayers. And then the Prophet came down from where he was, and he ran into Musa again, yani encountered him again. Musa asked him, how many prayers did your Lord make obligatory for your nation? He told him 50. So he told them, go back and ask for a reduction. I have tested the Israelites. They could not pray even 2 prayers a day. So the Prophet went back, he asked for a reduction. It was reduced by 5. He came back down to where Moses was. Moses asked him, how many now? He told him 45. So he told him, ask for a reduction. So he went back. He asked for a reduction. It was reduced by 5. And then like that, he kept going back and forth, and it kept getting reduced by 5 until it became 5. Then he came down, and Musa asked him, how many? He told him 5. Musa said, ask for a reduction. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that he was too shy to ask for a reduction after that. And so the obligation of 5 prayers was settled for his nation, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. And praying those 5 prayers has the reward of 50 prayers. So after he obligated 50, he obligated on him 5. But if I just want to follow the word order of the poem, then I'm going to put that at the end of the sentence. And he mandated on him 5. After 50, he obligated. Now, maybe you might find it, when I put it this way, you might find it odd or not readily understandable without thinking twice. It could be that excuse me. It could be that it's better for me to rearrange the words in a clearer way. It could be that you have a lack of literature, lack of reading, a lack of exposure to literature and poems and things like. I'm talking really about some older things though. I'm not talking about new things. Recent stuff's very weak, very weak. Nowadays, they write poems that don't even rhyme. Nowadays, a person just writes something on a page, whatever he feels like, whatever comes to his mind. There's no rhyme, there's no beat, nothing. And then, yani, after that, he say, this is a poem. And the people will say, what a poem. But read some older things, yani, if you ever had the time. Now we're Muslims and yani, we're busy with the knowledge. Maybe you won't have a lot of time. But if you did, pick up an older novel. Yani, I'm talking in English here, and that's a good thing too. And in Arabic, learn your Arabic too. Then, yani, you become maybe a little bit more familiar with more versatility in language. Not claiming this is perfect though here. Without a how or limitation, he mandated on him 5. After 50, he obliged. After 50, he obliged. Yes. Obligated stays on the line. Let's say obligated, then it rhymes with mandated. A rare opportunity to make the thing rhyme in English. Without a how nor limitation, he mandated on him 5. After 50, he obligated. And that means very close to what's there too. وبلغ الأمة بالإسراء وفرض 5 بلا امتراء وبلغ وبلغ الأمة بالإسراء وفرض 5 بلا امتراء. And he told his nation about the night journey. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Yeah, he told us about that. So we have to believe it because he told us. If the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, I did such and such as a miracle, then we're going to count that as one of his miracles, whatever he said. Didn't the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam say to his companions, I see you behind me like I see you in front of me? That's not always. And like in the prayer, when they were lining up behind him and following him in the prayer, he said to them, I see you from behind me like I see you in front of me, or and I see you in front of me. So he told us that he sees them from behind. So then means that's a miracle of his because he informed us. It's not a condition that we saw the miracle ourselves. It's also sufficient for the Prophet to tell us he did it. That's valid. Just like the Quran tells us that Abraham did a miracle. It was Abraham and his son. And then when Abraham went to slaughter his son, he ran the blade over his son's throat, and although the blade is hard metal and his son's throat is soft flesh, his throat didn't cut. And according to a narration, he would put the blade to his son's neck, and then the blade would flip. He would put the sharpened blade onto the throat, and then the sharpened side becomes on the other side. Yeah, the sharpened part becomes on the other side of the blade, and the dull part would be on his son's neck. So he would turn it so he could put the sharpened end on his son's neck, and then it would be the dull side on his son's neck, not the sharpened side. And the sharpened side would be on the other side. Allah told us about that. There's nobody else around to see this from them. So what if Abraham himself went and told some people? This would happen. So then, likewise, they should say, wow, that's a miracle of yours. Abraham has another miracle, y'all. He told his nation about the night journey. That's good enough to confirm the miracle. وَبَلَّغَ الْأُمَّةَ بِالْإِسْرَاءِ. And he told the kuffar too. Told the kuffar too, even though they don't believe in him. He told them, and they made fun of him when he told them. But not Abu Bakr, who was a believer. وَفَرْضِ خَمْسَةٍ بِلَا امْتِرَاءٍ, and he told them about the obligation of 5 prayers without doubt. That those 5 prayers are without doubt obligatory. قَدْ فَازَ صِدِّيقٌ بِتَصْدِيقٍ لَهُ وَبِالْعُرُوجِ الصِّدْقُ وَافَى أَهْلَهُ. قَدْ فَازَ صِدِّيقٌ بِتَصْدِيقٍ لَهُ وَبِالْعُرُوجِ الصِّدْقُ وَافَى أَهْلَهُ. As-Siddiq, that's Abu Bakr, was victorious by believing in him. قَدْ فَازَ صِدِّيقٌ بِتَصْدِيقٍ لَهُ, by belief in him. As-Siddiq was victorious by belief in him. وَبِالْعُرُوجِ وَبِالْعُرُوجِ الصِّدْقُ وَافَى أَهْلَهُ. This line, I'm not sure how to explain it. وَهَذِهِ عَقِيدَةٌ مُخْتَصَرَةٌ وللعوام سهلة ميسرة. وهذه عقيدة مختصرة وللعوام سهلة ميسرة. This is a summarized creedal document. وهذه عقيدة مختصرة, and this is a summarized creed. Yani, a document about the creed, a brief one. وَلِلْعَوَامِ سَهْلَةٌ, and for the layman, easy, meaning it is easy. مُيَسَّرَةٌ, readied, prepared, facilitated. So, what's implied there? It is. And for the layman, it is easy, readied. So I'll put that there. What about that spot back up there where it says 5? Should I put the word prayers in there? I think it doesn't harm. ناظم تلك أحمد المرزوق من ينتمي للصادق المصدوق. ناظم تلك أحمد المرزوق من ينتمي للصادق المصدوق. Its composer of this عقيدة مختصرة للعوام سهلا ميسرة. Its composer is Ahmed al-Marzuqi. Man yantami, who affiliates, not affiliates, who is a descendant of, yeah, who is a descendant of the honest, the verified one. Now, Zimu Tilka, so the composer Here, composer means this is poetry. That's the main meaning of his being Nalvim here, being composer. And not mere composition. This is not a prose composition. This is a poetic composition. He's a Nalvim here, a poet, poetic composer. Yani, we could put here poet. Its poet is Ahmed al-Marzuqi. That is the meaning of Nalvim here. The Nalvim is the poet. But in the very literal sense, the Nalvim is an arranger. Arranger. It's arranger or it's composer. So its poet is Ahmed al-Marzuqi. Man yantami, who is a descendant of للصادق المرز للصادق المصدوق, a descendant of الصادق, the honest one, المصدوق, the verified one, the believed one. Yani Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. والحمد لله وصلى سلم على النبي خير من قد علم. والحمد لله وصلى سلم على النبي خير من قد علم. And praise be to God, and his salat and salam be upon the Prophet, the best who ever taught. This Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the best teacher. Alayhi salatu wassalam. How would he not be? He is the one who graduates mujtahids. Graduates mujtahids. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Here, let's say, um, and praise be to God. May his salat and salam be upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the best who ever taught. والآل والصحب وكل مرشد وكل من بخير هدي يقتدي. والآل والصحب وكل مرشد وكل من بخير هدي يقتدي. And والآل والصحب وكل مرشدي, and upon his family. May God's salat and salam be upon his family. Yani, be upon the Prophet alayhi salam and his family. وآل والآل, and the family with a capital F here, meaning the Prophet's family. Was sahbi, and the companions, وَكُلِّ مُرْشِدِي, and each guide, every guide. That's what you want to be. You want to be murshid. You want to be a reason for people to be guided, not misguided, not confused. So some of the slaves of Allah Ta'ala, yani, they don't know what they're doing to themselves. Subjecting the people to confusion. Subjecting the people to confusion and misguiding people. That's a bad idea. وَكُلِّ مَنْ بِخَيْرِ هَدِيٍ يَقْتَدِي, and all who in the best guidance proceeded. And also may the salat and the salam be upon all of those who took the best way of guidance, who followed the right religion and they got the right knowledge and they went the right way. Now, the salat and the salam are upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. As for other than the Prophet, if they are connected to the mentioning of the Prophet, then the salat and the salam can be upon them too. But you don't say, may the salat and the salam be upon the companions, for example. You don't say, may the salat and the salam be upon every guy, only like this. You say, may the salat and the salam be upon Prophet Muhammad and his companions, and his family, and every guide. SubhanAllah, I got down to the very last lines here. And didn't finish. Didn't put the Arabic in there, didn't finish putting this in here. And we were just about at the end. So I'll tell you what I'd like to do. Now I was thought, all right, we're going to finish. We're going to finish tonight. Yeah, we're going to finish tonight, but we're not going to finish tonight. And Allah knows best. So we're just about finished. What we'll do, inshallah, let's revisit this exit here. This is where the exit or the conclusion starts. وَهَذِهِ عَقِيدَةٌ مُخْتَصَرَةٌ. So we can go over the end of the poem next week, and we'll probably still have time. And then maybe we can just run through the whole poem quickly. Just repeat, look at some things, and be done there. And then, what's the next project? I think it's time. I think it's time to open the blast doors. Let's stop here. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. If you have any question, I can answer for you. Abdul Qawi, I didn't forget about your request. Barakallahu feek. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.